Okay, well, welcome. Welcome to Creative Cities. This is the TED Talk. We will be listening to Theaster Gates. He will be talking about how he changed his old neighborhood, which was a place where nobody wanted to be, into a place where everybody wanted to be, everybody wanted to visit. So we will hear a little bit about how he did that. Now, the original TED Talk that he made is 16 minutes, but we are only going to be hearing parts of it. And of course, for his TED Talk or any of the TED Talks that we already did or that we will be doing, you can go to TED.com. Now, as you know, in the class folder, the link is in the portal. There is a document with all 6 links to all 6 TED Talks that we will be doing from the book. Or you can just go to TED.com and type in the title now. The title of his TED Talk is not Creative Cities. The actual title is How to Revive a Neighborhood with Imagination, Beauty, and Art. So for him, if you go to TED Talk, you can just type in his name and it will be the first thing you see. Or, like I said, go to the class folder and follow the link. Now, his TED Talk and all of the other TED Talks in those links do have Korean subtitles or Hanguk Jamak, right? Here you go. Just to show you. So transcript, of course, which is down here, that just means you can read along and you can actually click on any word and the video will go to that part. Also, of course, as you know, this, of course, in Korean, Jamak, and they have Korean. So his TED Talk and all the TED Talks that are used in the book, if you go to TED.com, you can watch them with Korean. Now, for the parts that we're going to use here, I did download the video, I did edit it with the Korean. So you can actually read along. I believe I did that also for the Kevin Alaka. You were able to read along as he spoke. The Kevin Alaka he spoke about videos going viral. All right. So here we go. Okay, you're going to read this, and I'm going to give you about 1.5 minutes, and then after 1.5 minutes, I will read, and we will go over the answers. So I have a timer here. You're going to hear a sound, and when you hear that sound, it means that the 1.5 minutes is over. So starting now. Professor Gates decided to tackle his Chicago neighborhood problems by reshaping and reimagining abandoned buildings. His idea worth spreading is that art can be a force for social change, bringing new life to buildings, neighborhoods, and entire cities. So this was pretty easy to read, and I'm sorry if I didn't mention it, but yeah, you could, as you were reading this, you saw that you had to choose the correct meaning for tackle, reshaping, and abandoned. Okay, so when you tackle a problem, you deal with it. To reshape something means to change the structure, and an abandoned building is one that the owner left. Abandoned just means everybody left. So if you abandon, if you abandon your city, you leave. So like an abandoned city would be a city where nobody lives, everybody left. But in this case, it's just building. So you will be hearing these words throughout his TED Talk. And so the book and I, we both want to make sure that you understand what these words mean. Okay, let's move on. All right, there you go. Look at it. Already we have some Korean here. So we're going to watch part of his TED Talk. What problems in his neighborhood does Gates talk about? Let's go.
The neighborhood that I live in is Grand Crossing. It's a neighborhood that has seen better days. It is not a gated community by far. There's lots of abandonment in my neighborhood. And while I was kind of busy making pots and busy making art and having a good art career, there was all of this stuff that was happening just outside my studio. All of us know about failing housing markets and the challenges of blight. And I feel like we talk about it with some of our cities more than others, but I think a lot of our US cities and beyond have the challenge of blight, abandoned buildings that people no longer know what to do anything with. And so I thought, is there a way that I could start to think about these buildings as an extension or an expansion of my artistic practice? And that if I was thinking along with other creatives, architects, engineers, real estate finance people, that us together might be able to kind of think in more complicated ways about the reshaping of cities.
All right, so that was part one. What problem in his neighborhood does Gates talk about? All right, so here, if you need to pause, if you need more time, or you need to go back and look, or look in the back of the book at the script, that's okay. You can pause now. Okay, welcome back. You've done what you needed to do. Let's answer the question. The problem that he talks about in his neighborhood is vacant buildings, empty buildings. All right, so then this is an example here. I think this was the end of part one, but it's just, I think this is the same house. How it used to look and how it looked and how it looks now, I'm not really sure, but we can find out more. All right, now we're going to watch part two. Now, put the events in the order in which they happened. So I will read these so that you understand. Okay, so the first thing he did, of course, Gates bought a building. And then what was number two? What did he do next? What did he do after that? And after that? And then what did he do after that? And then finally, what did he do? So I'm going to read these. All right, Gates renovated the building. Gates bought other buildings. Gates got a new job to earn money. Gates began to sweep as a kind of performance art. Gates started to come to Gates's building, or people started to come to Gates's building. Sorry, I'm so used to saying Gates. So one more time, E. People started to come to Gates's building. Gates used the building to stage exhibitions. Okay, so we're going to listen to part 2 in your book. As you are listening, put them in order, in the order in which they happened. The first one, of course, is done for you. Gates bought a building. All right, well, I'm going to start part 2 now.
So I bought a building. The building was really affordable. We tricked it out. We made it as beautiful as we could to try to just get some activity happening on my block. Once I bought the building for about $18,000, I didn't have any money left. And so I started sweeping the building as a kind of performance. I was like, this is performance art. And people would come over and I'd start sweeping because the broom was free and sweeping was free. It worked out. But we would use the building then to stage exhibitions, small dinners, and we found that that building on my block, Dorchester, we now refer to the block as Dorchester Projects, that in a way, that building became a kind of gathering site for lots of different kinds of activity. We turned the building into what we call now the Archive House. The Archive House would do all of these amazing things. Very significant people in the city and beyond would find themselves in the middle of the hood. And that's when I felt like there was maybe a relationship between my history with clay and this new thing that was starting to develop. That we were slowly starting to reshape how people imagine the south side of the city. One house turned into a few houses. And we always tried to suggest that not only is creating a beautiful vessel important, but the contents of what happens in those buildings is also very important. So we were not only thinking about development, but we were thinking about the program, thinking about the kind of connections that could happen between one house and another, between one neighbor and another.
All right. So I did love his line. Sweeping was free, broom was free. It just worked out. Also, you heard him say hood. You might have heard that in a lot of hip hop songs. Hood is just, it means a few things. It's short for neighborhood, but here he's also referring to hood as a kind of dangerous part of town. And people found themselves in this dangerous part of town, in the hood. All right, but enough of that. In what order did these things happen? All right, so I'm going to, I think I'll give you guys about a minute. And of course, you can always pause if you need more time, but I'm just gonna wait about a minute and then we can start. Okay, so there's about 10 seconds left. The only thing I can say right now is if you need more time, please pause now. Okay, so let's go. So Gates bought a building. Then he renovated. He changed it. He took everything that he didn't want out and he rebuilt it the way he wanted. After that, he began to sweep as a kind of performance art. Remember I said I love that line where he said, sweeping was free, the broom was free. So it kind of just worked out. All right. After that, people started to come to his building. Then Gates used the building to stage exhibitions. And finally, he bought other buildings. All right, so of course here, if you need to pause in order to write down the answers, go ahead, but I'm going to move on in 3, 2, 1. All right, now we're going to watch part 3. Now, please circle the correct option to complete each sentence. I will read the beginning part of each sentence now, and then you can go ahead and listen. Listen, I'm sorry. Watch, go to the back of the book, read the script, whatever you need to do to help you. But, all right. Part of sentence 1. The Arts Bank project was difficult to finance because, and then finish. 2, the Arts Bank is now used as a, okay, finish. Gates is now blank around the country. All right, so let's watch part 3.
Those things. In this bank that we call the Arts Bank, it was in pretty bad shape. There were about 6 feet of standing water. It was a difficult project to finance because banks weren't interested in the neighborhood, because people weren't interested in the neighborhood, because nothing had happened there. It was dirt. It was nothing. It was nowhere. And so we just started imagining what else could happen in this building. And so now that the rumor of my block has spread and lots of people are starting to visit, we found that the bank can now be a center for exhibition, archives, music performance, and that there are people who are now interested in being adjacent to those buildings because we brought some heat, that we kind of made a fire. In some ways, it feels very much like I'm a potter, that we tackle the things that are at our wheel. We try with the skill that we have to kind of think about this next bowl that I want to make. And it went from like bowl to a singular house, to a block, to a neighborhood, to a cultural district, to thinking about the city. And at every point, there were things that I didn't know that I had to learn. And that would make things happen. So now we're starting to give advice around the country on how to start with what you got, how to start with the things that are in front of you, how to make something out of nothing, how to reshape your world at a wheel or at your block or at the scale of the city. Thank you so much.
All right, so that's the TED Talk. Of course, the full TED Talk is 16 minutes. It is actually a very good talk. The first part of the TED Talk, he does mention what he actually does, what his actual job is, and then how he got into doing this. So it's actually a very good talk if you want to watch it. And as you can see, Hanguk Jamak Isayo. All right, but let's move on to those 3 sentences. All right, I'm gonna wait about a minute. All right, it's been less than a minute and you can hear my cat, but don't worry. I just need to close the door for a second. All right, so as usual, if you need more time, please pause right now. Okay, so you have unpaused or you were just waiting for me. Either way, here we go. The Arts Bank project was difficult to finance because no one was interested in the neighborhood. 2, the Arts Bank is now used as a place for exhibitions and performances. And the thing he said at the end of the video, Gates is now giving advice to others around the country. As usual, if you need to pause, go ahead, circle the correct ones. And we're going to move on in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so interpretation or interpreting here. Look at the diagram from Gates' TED Talk. What does it show? Choose the correct option. So choose what you think it shows. So we have A, how Gates's project faced difficulties. B, how Gates's project grew in size. C, how news about Gates's block spread. Okay, this one is relatively easy, so if you need to pause, pause now. Okay, welcome back, and here we go. So, what does it show? Well, we have city. I'm going to try to city, neighborhood, country, world, how it grew, right? All right, so that's the answer here is B. Now we're just going to watch excerpts, just a little bit, and you have a list there. Choose the correct meaning of the words that you see there. Okay, so let's listen to the excerpt. Just a very short, I think like 40 seconds, maybe, and look at the words. What do they mean?
It's a neighborhood that has seen better days. It is not a gated community by far.
What does that mean? Surrounded by walls or fences.
But I think a lot of our U.S. cities and beyond have the challenge of blight, abandoned buildings that people no longer know what to do anything with.
Okay, blight. Areas that are in poor condition.
In this bank that we call the Arts Bank, it was in pretty bad shape. There were about 6 feet of standing water.
Pretty bad shape. I think we can all kind of guess what this means. Poor condition.
And that there are people who are now interested in being adjacent to those buildings because we brought some heat.
adjacent. Next to. All right, and just in case this was too fast, here are the answers. 1 is B, 2 is A, 3, C, 4, B. All right, I'll leave this up for about 30 seconds and then we'll move on. All right, so not quite 30 seconds, but I'm pretty sure you can quickly write this down. B-A-C-B. All right, moving on. All right, so I'm going to read this, and then after I read it, you can pause the video for as long as you need. But anyways, here we go. In some ways, it feels very much like I'm a potter, that we tackle things that are at our wheel. We blank with the blank that we have to think about this next ball that we want to make. Just have to move the video there. Okay, so go ahead. As much time as you need. Pause the video now. Okay, so welcome back. We're going to watch again 30, 40 seconds. Actually, we're just going to listen to this. He's just going to say this with the answers. So you should have already written down what you think. If you have unpaused the video, it means you're ready. If not, pause it again, but here we go.
In some ways, it feels very much like I'm a potter, that we tackle the things that are at our wheel. We try with the skill that we have to kind of think about this next bowl that I want to make.
All right. So in some ways, it feels very much like I'm a potter, that we tackle the things that are at our wheel. We try with the skill that we have to think about the next bowl that I want to make. All right, so we're going to listen to another excerpt, and you're going to match. You're going to match the sentences, the beginning and the end of the sentences. So go ahead right now. I'll give you guys about 40, 45 seconds, or let's make it a minute to go ahead and match, and then we will start. All right, so if you need to pause, you have about 15 seconds left, but if you need to pause now for more time. All right, welcome back. You've unpaused it. which means you are ready for the answer. So this time, what I should have done with the last little piece of the video, as he speaks and says these things, I will show you the answers.
It was dirt. It was nothing. It was nowhere. We tricked it out. We made it as beautiful as we could because we brought some heat, that we kind of made a fire. We're starting to give advice around the country on how to start with what you got, how to start with the things that are in front of you.
All right, so it was dirt. It was nothing. It was nowhere. We tricked it out. We made it as beautiful as we could. We brought some heat. We kind of made a fire. How to start with what you got? How to start with the things that are in front of you. All right, so if you need to pause here and kind of put them in the correct order, go ahead, but I'm going to move on in 3, 2, 1. That's it. So I'll see you guys in the Zoom class. Yeah, that's it. See you guys then. And yes, believe it or not, we are at the halfway point here, almost. With the reading section of this, when I do the video for the reading, it means we will be at the halfway point and everybody will be preparing and studying for midterm exams. And don't forget, your midterm is you should already have your groups. It's going to be a speaking test, and I will get more into that. But anyways, so study hard, and I'll see you guys in Zoom class. And of course, I will answer any questions you have about the midterms. But please prepare your questions now. I don't want to take up too much time of the class. But that said, I'll see you guys in Zoom class. All right. See you then. Bye.